Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Diane and my passion is painting and creating nature-inspired watercolours in my studio, which are easy for you to do too. I share all my paintings with you on YouTube, and on our website dianeanton.com you can find free downloadable sketches for all the videos to help you make the most of your painting journey. And if you'd like a little bit more, we also have channel memberships with loads of perks for you to enjoy. So welcome on board. Click subscribe and turn on notifications, and let's learn to paint watercolour. Hi everyone, Diane here. Welcome to my studio. Hope everybody's feeling fine today. You will have seen in the introduction the final painting, which I haven't done yet, so I don't know what it's going to look like. And today I thought that it would be perhaps interesting. I'm going to paint some feathers and I'm going to put together a composition, and I wanted to share with you something that might be useful for you, which is the process that sometimes I go through. I don't always do it like this, but often I do, when I'm trying to construct something a little bit outside of my ordinary, or a little bit more, I don't know, when I'm just trying a bit harder than I usually do. I paint some pictures and then I kind of work with those to make a composition. And what I've got here is my practice work for today. I'll show you where I started. Hang on a second. So my idea was I would paint some feathers, and I thought, oh, it would be quite nice to paint some feathers to do as a greetings card, so like a thank you card. So I put together this. Now, I think that's quite sweet, and I think that would be easy to do. And if you want to do a screenshot of this and don't watch any more of the video and just copy this, then I'll be absolutely happy with that, no problem at all. And I'll tell you a bit later on about how I did that, if I remember. Anyway, that was where I started. But then when I looked at that through the camera, with a view to creating a thumbnail for the video, I realised that it wasn't going to be dramatic enough. So, you know, this is what we're working with at the moment. I can't just paint what I feel like painting and sharing with you, because it has to go across on YouTube. And so I thought, okay, well, we'll look at that and then we'll make something perhaps more interesting than that and not quite so simple, because, you know, so what did I do next? Okay, and what I did next was I painted some cactuses, which I've shared with you. And then I thought, no, it's not in there. I thought, okay, let's try making them a bit brighter. So I painted them like this, which actually I didn't do next. I did that. And these are all good ways of painting feathers, and I'll show you how I did it in a minute. And then I, this morning, went on to paint this and that and that. And then I realised this is all in the vertical format. So I need to make that different, because it needs to be horizontal. So I took photocopies of those paintings and cut them up. That's one I haven't cut up yet. And I cut them up and I thought, now I'm going to arrange them. As if I was doing a collage, I'm going to practice arranging these feathers in a way that I think would make a good painting, you know. And so you can play with that. Cut them up, make a photocopy first, then cut them up and see what you can do with these. So this is, I haven't done this yet. This is the stage I'm at, and I'm thinking, okay, we've got more than we need here. How many have I got? 8. So I'll probably want about 5, don't I? So let's see how 5 would look if we arranged maybe a big one in the middle like that, and then one overlapping, and the colours can be changed, of course. And well, you could play with this for a significant length of time, couldn't you? So just arranging them how you think they would look good. Obviously, you won't be able to see all of it because, you know, obviously, so something like that. And then if you want to put some greenery and foliage and stuff like that in and around, you can do that separately. This is a terrible drawing, but you get the message kind of thing. And this one here, I've put a branch behind it, and I think I quite like that. So what I'm going to try and do is do a composition which is like this, with a branch like that behind, and then once I've drawn that onto this piece of paper, I'll come back and we can paint it together. The sketch will be available on dianeanton.com free of charge if you want to take the sketch. It's not going to be exactly like this, but I just thought I would share that with you. I hope that's interesting, and I'll be back in a second when I've done the drawing. Okay, so I've done the drawing, and first of all, before we get started, I'll just tell you what paints I'm going to use. This is my, the thing I was just talking about. I've glued those on to this piece of copy paper so that it stays in place, and that's, I think the arrangement of the colours isn't too bad, actually, so I'll probably stick with something a bit like that. I haven't shown you how I transferred the painting the sketch onto the paper, because this is already going to be a long video, so I don't want to make you hang around too long before we get started. I'm going to use the graphite colours from Kuretake, Gansai Tanbei graphite colours. I'll probably just use the brown. Yeah, I think I just used the brown for this one. And maybe I used it for that one, but I don't know. I'll probably just stick to the brown. That gives me a bit of granulation. And then the other set I'm going to use the Art Nouveau set, but honestly, any colour would do. This is burnt sienna, for example, and you could use potter's pink or any other colour, anything you like. It doesn't matter, but that's just what I've got to hand, so I'll be using that. And here's my sketch, which I've used a sheet of this Etcher watercolour paper here, 140 pound cold pressed paper. I transferred it using the technique of making a photocopy, scribbling on the back and then putting it down and drawing around the shapes, the main shapes, and then emphasising the details after I'd removed that from my piece of paper. So next thing, what am I going to be using to paint with? I should probably use a fairly large brush. This is a size 12 Princeton Aqua Elite, quite like those, not too bad. I'm going to use this fuzzy little brush. This is a Tintoretto, but it doesn't matter what it is. This is one of those ones that doesn't really hold a point, but it's very good for doing the fluffy bits at the bottom of the feathers. I've got a couple of those. They came from a Gallo free gift with the sets of paints that I bought from them. And I will also be using various different things to do embellishments with if we get that far. This is a Tombow pen, this is a gold Signo, this is a white Signo, this is a sepia Winsor & Newton fine liner. And I will be scraping in some of the veins with this dip pen, which is just an ordinary, you can pull the nib off of these if you've got strong enough fingers and you don't mind making a mess. You can take that off and draw with it. Whoops, oh dear, that's a good start, isn't it? Never mind, let's get the paint on. Get that off. You can't win, can you? I think I need another cup of coffee. That won't matter anyway, that's not going to show. So let's get started. Which one shall I start with first? The green one maybe. I don't know, it doesn't really matter. Let's start with the green one. This is, I don't know what the name of that colour is. I do need a test sheet somewhere though. Yeah, that'll do. These might come out a little bit brighter. You never know really. It all depends what you feel like picking up. They might come out a little bit brighter and they might be nicer for that. I don't know. Let's put 2 shades of green in there. And I'm just loosely painting within the shape that I've drawn. And it's raining. I'm going to put quite a bit of paint at the bottom here, bottom of the feather, and then I will cover up my drip and just drag down for the, I know that's got a name, I can't remember what it is. It's like the bit that sticks into the bird. And then I'll take the fluffy brush and I'm just going to make a little bit of a fluff there. I'll do more on the others. And then we'll just let that sit and do whatever it wants to do. Wash my brush and come back with the next colour. I think I'll go over here because that's going to be wet. So let's do this one in beige, maybe. And maybe a bit of brown in there. If you just drop more than one colour in, you're going to get a nice blend. And put a bit more paint down the bottom. And then draw out the, oh, what's that silly thing called? Somebody will look it up for me. Then grab your fluffy brush and just pull a few fine hairs out. Not hairs, but whatever. And we'll come back to that with the brush later. Okay, so that's number 2. And then let's do this one over here, which is pink. And one of the reasons I like this Kuretake set, this Art Nouveau set, is purely because of this pink. I think the set has come back into stock now. It has been out of stock in Canada for a long time, but people are starting to tell me they can get hold of it now, so that's a relief. So I've mixed the pink with a sort of beige colour as well. So you could use Potter's pink for that, it's pretty much the same. It's just that this Kuretake set is a little bit on the opaque side, so you get a lot more coverage. But it doesn't have to be opaque. You can thin it out. You can put, more water in it, and then it goes transparent. Okay, and then the middle one, this one here, I'm going to paint this in the burnt sienna colour. And try and be careful and not let it touch. That's going to be a challenge. So I know it will run. So that, and then a little bit of the darker, rustier colour as well, down at the bottom here, where I'm then going to pull out the joining on bit, like that. I've got to do nice floofy bits here, floof, floof, and floof. That isn't finished. Okay, and then the rest of this, and I don't care if this one runs a bit because the colours are similar, so it wouldn't matter if it did. You can add a little bit stronger colour if you like at the tips and at the base. It's up to you to do however you want to do that. You could do the same with the pink. We could put some brighter pink at the top. Some darker pink down here if you want. Stripes. Whatever you feel like. And then I did want to use just this one brown one here. Try to be reasonably free. They will look different when they're dry. And I'm going to put the floofy bits in there. As I said, this isn't finished. That's just the background to the floofy bits. And then I'm going to take my dip pen and just draw in the center vein a double line. When you're doing that, it's not necessary to keep it in the middle. You want it to go off to one side, because generally speaking, I've got a feather here somewhere. Yeah, generally speaking, the vein is towards one side, and more shorter veins on that side than this side. So you want to make it like that, and that's what makes a feather look like a feather rather than like a leaf, actually. Or one of the things anyway, because there is a tendency for them to look a bit leaf-like, but we'll just get that over there. And because you're digging into wet paint, you're going to get a darkish line. Okay. And then if you want to, of course, you can put in more lines at this point, just using this pen, just scratching into the wet paint. Because it's wet, it runs into the grooves that you're making. And so you'll get a pattern. Now, these are not an attempt at making a realistic feather. This is not meant to be like that. This is just doodle time. Now this one, I think I'm going to do them a little bit curvy like that. Hopefully you can see these shapes. Hopefully you can see the lines. Yeah, I think you can. I'm going to do it on this side as well. Maybe not as many lines, just a couple. You can do whatever you like, obviously. And then, let me see, what did I have before? This one is going to be a good opportunity to put some nice gold on. So we'll do that, and then having to keep my hand out of the way because it's going to smudge if I touch it. So I'm holding the pen a long way off and my hand is above the paper, it's not touching. So my fine detail is going to be somewhat inhibited. Let's do these ones straighter. Maybe we'll do more of them. And this one is going to be a bit lighter because it's starting to dry. Okay, so now I'm going to have to let that dry completely. And let me see, I want to do the background. So I'll take a slightly, when I say background, I mean these branches here. I'll take a slightly smaller brush. This is a size 7, draw well round. And I'm going to put in some berries first of all. We'll start with the berries. I'm going to use the burnt sienna. And I'm going to just put in some sort of slightly rough circles for the berries. And you can take your time and do this much more carefully than I. I tend to work quite fast because I don't want to edit. Don't want Tamsin to have to edit the video because it takes so much longer. So if I can work reasonably fast, then it makes it easier for her. So now I'm just dropping in the stems, and I'm going to deliberately, honestly, I'm not joking, deliberately want them to bleed into the berries. So I'm going to have to turn that round. There's lots of different ways of doing this kind of berry work. This is good practice for Christmas because we'll be doing lots of red berries, won't we? Over Christmas. I was just thinking earlier today, I have to start thinking about Christmas designs and so on. So when you get to that point, you might want to add a different colour. You might want to add some more darker berries like that, or you might just leave it alone. So we'll leave that there anyway. And what I'm going to have to do now is let it dry. Now, another useful paint set that I have that's going to come in handy at Christmas as well is this Finetek Coliro gold paint. There's 100 different kinds of gold paints out there on the market. This is the one I use most. To be quite honest, I've got a couple of others as well, but this is the one I tend to use most. I just want to test this to make sure that's going to do something. And then I'm going to embellish, first of all, starting with this green one, just picking up as thick as I can make it. I've added water in the middle there to make it nice and liquid. So I'm just putting a couple of rows of dots in there, and maybe I'll do some lines. This is where you get creative, you know. Or in my case, this is where I get stuck. Okay, so this is basically why I decided to put gold on this one, is because I think that the green is a little bit strong compared to the rest. So this will sort of link in with the gold and so on that's over here. That was kind of what I was thinking. And I'm going to put a little bit of gold on the berries as well to make them a bit more round. It's quite nice. And I will come in with a bit of pen as well on the berries a bit later on. This has got a sort of touch of autumn about it, hasn't it? I don't know why. I do know why, actually. It's because the weather is so funny. It's really weird. I'm not complaining. Last year we had a heat wave. This year we haven't got a heat wave. We've got a cold wave. It's bizarre. It's really strange. It's like September. Now, September is my favourite month because that's my birthday. Well, it used to be my favourite month because it was my birthday. Nowadays I dread it. And anyway, but it's true. And it feels like September. It really does. Okay, so I think probably these feathers are going to get quite a lot of gold on them because I'm enjoying this. So I'm going to put the centre vein in gold on this one. And while I'm at it, I'll just take my fine liner and I'm going to just put in some random feathery bits down here over the top of the ones that I drew out from the paint. And then I'm going to put a line beside the gold. Okay, and then I think I might use the gold pen and just going to go inside those lines that I drew earlier. And honestly, I recommend that you just make it up as you go along, really, which is what I'm doing, and do whatever comes to mind from point of view of doodles. And I think probably what we want is a few circles going up the centre there, like that, maybe. Maybe some little ones around here. And we come down here into the, whatever that's called. I know it's got a funny name. Okay, and now I'm on to this one. So we'll do the same thing. It doesn't have to be even, doesn't have to be perfectly even. The vein down the middle doesn't have to be perfectly even. It can be as irregular as you like. And we could do, on this one, we could do fairly large amounts of gold up the top here like that, if we wanted to, couldn't we? And we could do blobs like that. What else could we do? We could do anything, really. Probably don't want to do too much. Perhaps we'll do that. There's a limit to the amount of time that I can spend playing here before you all get bored and go away. This is where I usually start talking about television, isn't it? Where I'm just doing something fairly repetitive here. But I'm not going to. I am not going to discuss the new uniforms that they've got in Star Trek, the new Next Generation. I'm not going to do that. Let me see. What shall we do over here? Well, we've got some nice curly lines, so let's follow those lines. There goes Michael again. Cock-a-doodle-doodle. Okay, I'm going to take my gold pen again, and let me see what I can do here. I'm going to do some spirals and some dots. And I probably won't bore you with all of that, but I will do some little hairs down here. And I want my brown pen for this one as well. This has done a nice kind of granulation thing there, hasn't it? I can turn that round so I can do this line. So I'm going to emphasize those lines there that I did before, not necessarily going right over the same place. There's a bit more texture if you just go nearby. This one's turning out quite nice. It's because it's a natural colour, I think. Maybe this one needs some brown in it. I don't know. And perhaps we put a few dots. it's a good idea when you're doing something like this to do some of them more complicated than others, you know, just keep some of them really light and simple, like this one, and others more complicated because you need that contrast. And I think this brown sepia pen is quite handy because that will unify. If I use it a little bit on all 5 of them, then that will sort of unify them a bit. There's every reason to suppose when you do something like this that you won't be completely happy with the first one. So try to get over this idea that you can't do the same painting twice. You know, that doesn't make much sense, really. You might not want to do the same painting twice, but if it doesn't turn out quite the way you wanted it to, as possibly this one isn't, then do it again if you can't fix it. Yeah. And remember, as I've said before, you know, if you don't like what you've done, then it's not finished yet. Okay, I'm going to let that dry and I'm going to come back in a minute. So I'm going to put some white veins on top of this pink one, assuming that my white pen will work. And I'm putting them close together. I'm going to go over what I had underneath, just to knock it back a bit and see what that looks like. Definitely a mechanical, could say meditative, could say mechanical process where you're just repeating the same movement again and again and again. It gives you more control as you're learning more control of the pen. And just you're never going to get what you might consider a perfect line with this white pen. It would be a miracle if you did. On rough paper, it might work on smooth paper, but it's always going to skip a little bit on rough paper, and it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters anyway, for what it's worth. I think that's better. With the gold sort of underneath the white, I think that does look better. We'll see how the whole thing looks when it's completely finished. I'm not sure whether to put some white on any of the others. I'm not sure, actually, but I don't think I will, because I think we're coming towards the end of our suitable length video. Let me see, what did I do with my brown? There it is. Because I did want to just attach some of these and go around the outside edge a little bit on some of them, I think. I just thought I would do that at the beginning and I haven't done it, so I want to do it now. Oh, and about the little card I showed you at the beginning, I haven't got round to telling you how I did that. It's very easy. I just painted the shapes first. If anyone's interested, let me know, and I will. Perhaps we'll put that on Patreon, or I'll do a quick version for YouTube. So there we are. I think I'm going to leave that like that. Could do more. Could put some spatter. Could put more leaves in the background. But for the time being, I think I'm going to leave that like that, and we'll see what you think. A couple of things that need to be fixed. For example, this branch, I'm just going to indicate that that is actually going behind like that. So there we are. I think I'm done for today. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, give us a like and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on notifications so that you're informed whenever a new video goes up. Visit me on dianeanton.com if you want to download free sketch and find other things over there. And do consider please joining us and becoming a member of either YouTube membership or Patreon, both of which offer you perks and certain things. And as well as that, you know that you're supporting us in our endeavours to bring you interesting art lessons 3 or 4 times a week. So I'll let you go now, and I do hope everybody is feeling fine and fighting fit. And I will see you again soon, everybody. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.